like to hold things up.
All right, we'll get this meeting started. Welcome to the annual Service Area Committee meeting for Spring Lake Guardian Homes. Today is Monday, June 8th. It is now 12:36 p.m. I'm Alex Georgiadis, Service Area Director. Next to me is Service Area Administrator Delise Rodriguez. Joining us online is Jacob Waddle, General Manager. We also have Ray Febres, Finance Manager. And we have committee member Chris Muller joining us online. In person, we have Betty Zippin joining us in person, as Joe Silva. So we have a quorum and we can begin the meeting. Can I have a motion to start the meeting, please?
So moved.
And a second? The committee members for the next year. Beginning again, we have Christopher Muller, we have Joseph Silva, and we have Betty Zippin. This will be the committee for the upcoming year. A reminder for everyone that the calendar has been posted with the applications online. And we also have the code of conduct, which will be emailed to you, signature as well, and send that back. Anything else for committee members?
I got a question, Alex. Don't you think it would be common sense that the committee members be notified prior to today's meeting that they will be on the coming year committee? I mean, we receive a notice, so there's a meeting for Spring Lake. I don't know if I'm on the committee anymore.
We had an email, I believe applications went out, requesting applications to be submitted in order to be part of the upcoming committee.
Okay, so I submit it. I don't know if there's 10, 12, 2, 1.
Yeah, I mean.
Did they have an election? Did they have anything? And I'm only speaking from past history and experience. When we had this committee disbanded and nobody had the courtesy to tell us that then, I just thought it was common sense to say, hey, guys, you're on the committee and the next meeting is.
Yeah, we wait till today, and today's the official date when we announce the new committee.
What would have
Okay.
happened if we only had 2 people?
All right, Jacob, you want to jump in?
If we weren't getting enough applications in, we actually just had this at a service area meeting earlier today. We had kind of the instance you're laying out, and Alex and Delise reached out to all the committee members from the last term, letting them know, hey, we're not seeing this. He even called people. So he emailed, they called, just to try to get enough people to create a meeting. And the same. Yeah. And then it was also brought up, if you have quorum of your full service area at your meeting, then you can hold an election there. And then if there's any chances that we were receiving more than 5 applications or reaching that 5, we were being proactive and sharing to those committees as well. And then additionally, emails work both ways. You can always reach out to us and ask any questions.
Didn't answer my question, but thank you.
So the protocol is no prior notification, assuming at least at 3. And if we have more than 5, as Jacob mentioned.
I understand that. I'm just saying a courtesy. You guys love to fire off emails and whatever. And the ones that I think are important.
So the concern was there might not be a committee moving forward. That was.
I don't know that. I was coming here today blind. I don't know if when I came in, I was all alone. So I'm saying, am I the only guy? I don't even know if I should have been here because nobody said, hey, come, you're on the committee. That's all I'm saying. I'm not looking to give somebody a major amount of work. It's just a notification. Following people are on the Spring Lake Committee for 26, 27. Bingo, done.
We wouldn't be able to say that at the time until today. We wouldn't have the information, right?
Why not?
Today's the final day, the committee. When did we receive all the applications?
The 5th was the final day, which was Friday, but the committee members that are existing, if they decide to renew, they can bring the date of the meeting. That's the last day.
Additionally, people can show up at the meeting and announce that they would like to be on the committee at your annual meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
Were the three current committee members, Jacob, the only three applications that you received? And are there circumstances under which a committee applicant would be denied? That probably not the same protocol for some of the other committees, but I guess those are two questions. Were we the only? Were we
You were
the only three? And
Yeah,
are
you're
there-
the only three, and there are grounds for committee members to be denied. I believe their account is not in good status with the HOA.
Okay.
Any other questions?
you see the consistency, though? There was a notice in Monday Matters or Friday Flash. The last day to submit is, now you're saying you can walk in and submit. Who's on first?
Trying to be as cooperative as possible with residents. There is the deadline, as you mentioned, with the application, but then if we have committees, not enough people, we push it to the day of the meeting. We're trying to promote committees.
No, I understand all that. I'm just saying, maybe it's unfortunate that I know how to read. I read that in your not yours, you understand what I'm saying, notification, and you're telling me something entirely different today. That's great. But let us know.
I could have, for instance, if Chris didn't show up today, would we still have the
We have it because his application's on.
applications in? Okay, so once the third application is in, you'd like to receive notification that we do indeed have a committee? That's what you're looking for?
Yeah,
I can put that for next round.
just like I would have liked to have known that the committee had been disbanded
Very
a
good.
year or two ago, whatever it was. Like a dope, I'm asking a question at a meeting. You were there, you know I asked the question, and not one person there. Jacob was there. Lauren was there. Rose was there. And nobody had the common sense to stand up and say, hey, Joe, by the way, your committee was disbanded. And we're a bunch of dumbbells and didn't let you know. That's all I'm saying.
That's understandable.
Thank you.
Any other input for the annual meeting? Otherwise, sorry.
Chair.
Yes. Since we're here, let's do our voting, chair and vice chair. So Betty, you vote for chair?
You can nominate yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how we do it.
What do you mean? You're asking each individual person to recommend somebody?
Well, we're taking votes for chair and vice chair.
So we haven't had a nomination for a chair.
It's an interesting way of doing things, but okay. And
So
I
the
know
floor
I
is
left
open-
my
the floor is
Robert's
open for
Rules of
nominations.
Order at home.
Jennifer,
The floor is open for nominations for
You
chair.
can self-nominate or you can nominate another committee member.
So
Chris?
this is Chris Muller. So I served as chair, obviously, in the past year, but the circumstances recently that have curtailed my ability to get to our home in Florida with what we're managing through with family here in New Jersey. And I think it would serve the committee and the community better if there were a full-time resident as chair. And I think that would be more effective. And I would nominate Betty Zippin if she's willing as chair for the upcoming year.
We have a second?
I'll second that.
Favor?
I didn't hear anybody else. Am I the only one?
I said I.
Aye.
Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
No, should be vice chair.
I'm not anything.
I know you're not. You want
No,
No. All right, Chris will be.
we've never had a vice
No,
chair.
we've never had.
Well, I'll accept, Betty, if you're nominating me, I'll accept the position as vice chair unless Joe would prefer to serve in that capacity, but Joe, it's your.
That ship has sailed. I've been on too many committees, too many
Okay.
chairmanships. I'm
I nominate Chris as co-chair.
Second,
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
That's established. We have the chairperson is Betty and vice chair is Chris. Yeah. Good. This can conclude our annual meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
This concludes our annual meeting. And we can roll into our second quarterly meeting for the service area. Going right into financials. And we have a quorum, just verifying we do have a quorum of committee members for the quarterly committee meeting. So we can have a standard meeting. On the financials, as of the end of April, cash in the operating account is $103,000. And we did go ahead and make the laddered investments of $40,000 into a 6-month and a 12-month CDAR. Ray, confirm those are completed or it's still in progress? Spring Lake Gardens,
The investments were done, were completed, yes.
any questions on financials?
We have $40,000 were invested in the seeds. And that means.
It's a 20 and a 20 in 6 months, 20 and 12 months.
Okay, so 6 months from now,
Comes up for renewal,
okay,
20,000.
do we have access to that money, to use that money, or it's just invested?
We can break DCD at a charge, but that's the point of a CD. We lock it up for 6 months or 12 months.
Yeah, you can still liquidate the investment, but yeah, if you liquidate the investment before its maturity date, you're gonna get penalized by the bank. Yes.
So the 20,000 that's in the 6 month, when is the 6 months up?
I'll tell you right now. November 12th.
$2026.
And Ray, the 12-month, is it just 6 months after that one?
I'll confirm the date now. The other one is gonna be May 13, 2027.
Any other questions on finances?
No, I think what we were suggesting originally, Alex, when we undertook the investment in CDs, because of some concern, I think maybe what Betty might be leading on to is, that I can't envision the emergency that would require us to call the CDs earlier than their full maturity date. But we could talk about this in the future.
I mean, we still have over $60,000 in the account. Ray, the 103,000, yeah.
Yeah, I think just to create, just so to ensure that we have future flexibility. One of the things we talked about before we did that was to perhaps invest in smaller tranches so that if we needed something that exceeded our available capital, we wouldn't have the penalty on the entire CD of 40,000 or the full amounts, that they be broken up into smaller tranches. Now, I know depending on the interest rate, there may be smaller or larger minimums, but that may be something that we want to think about as we get to November and make a decision to reinvest, that we break them up into smaller investments or compare the interest rates that are available at the time, so that we, if we had an emergency, that we could access it without encroaching, or paying paying fees for the entire amount to redeem them early.
Yes, once we're approaching the maturity date, we're gonna be reaching out to you guys, following up saying, hey, this CDR is approaching its maturity date. These are the options that we have available. So the rates that the bank is offering as of that date, then we're gonna be reaching out to you and you guys can decide if you want to liquidate the investment or if you want to move forward with investing instead of just in 6 months, you do 3 months or 9 months or 12 months, whatever works best for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's a matter, I think it's a matter of both time and, duration and amount, but we can talk about it as we get closer to November.
Yes, and just one more thing for CDARS, the minimum is going to be $10,000 to open a CDAR.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, just confirm, it's 20,000 in a 6 month, 20,000 in a 12 month, and we still have 60,000 plus in the liquid account. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions, finances? Very good. Moving on, as far as landscaping, we have done a round of plant upgrades and we're in the middle of another round of plant upgrades. We were on hold for sod installation until better product became available. We got good news, we're actually getting sod this week. So that should start from the east side, moving west, Resolute, and all the way over. Questions on plant upgrades, sod installation?
So I don't want this to come across as negative because I'm thrilled with the way a lot of things are going. But it would be great if details could be emailed out about, these plant upgrades, particularly so that the entire, this is a very small group who actually gets to see and hear what's going on. And, a lot of folks can't come because they're working. But I think it would do the community good to hear, the positive things that are happening,
So like
such as new plantings.
Also, the notes and the information that you're sending after landscape walks are very helpful in knowing exactly where we're targeting. But I have a problem with no dates. It's kind of open-ended. So when you're going to do all these things, by when? How would we know on the next walk whether we met that goal, or whether it was deferred? Why was it deferred? We understand what the sign was deferred. Because we don't know if the May walk, the status of those items, since it's now June, we don't even know about the April. So here we have the new walk, the new things we're gonna do in May. What happened to the things in April? Were they all done? Can't assume that.
Okay, so you want the goal dates and tracking month to month.
Right, so when you give us the notes, it's when is that estimated to be done? So that when we know that in the April walk, this is when it was supposed to be done, when we walk in May, we can look at it.
Assuming it's gonna get done in 30 days.
Right, if it's gonna be, whatever the date is, we could then go to that location and say, yes, it was done. Otherwise, we walk around, we don't even know if the same house, looking at the same house again. Unless we're sitting there monitoring that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to be specific with dates.
Any other input on plant installation?
The side installation you're talking about is finishing the fronts.
Correct. Front homes, we're not doing driveways yet, front.
So at the end of blank, I don't know, all the front homes of everybody
Going down Resolute.
only going down Resolute.
Yeah.
He's doing it in sections.
So we need to know so that we can communicate. And people don't see sod going in and saying, when am I getting sod? That creates confusion and often controversy. Because why are they getting it and we're not? So if they know that they're on the list and when they're gonna get it.
Yeah, and this decision was made just in case you do get questioned, just geographically, going down linearly, no spot installations by home, just walking down the block. That's how the decision was made to avoid that controversy.
Right, so it's going down the houses that face Resolute.
It's gonna go down towards the end, and as we reach the end, then we'll wrap around and come back, but.
And then start doing the houses on the Muse.
So Alex, can the homeowners on Resolute Street be notified that this is going to take place? I think one of the things, to Betty's point, one of the things is, and I think Brian also, is the communication to homeowners. I would be really upset. Now, most people don't know this sod process is going to be undertaken. And if I were to have undertaken power washing of my sidewalk and entry this week, only to find out the mess that's going to transpire with the sod installation next week, only to have to do it again, were I to know that sod was going to be installed and the mess was going to transpire, I would wait. And some people probably pay somebody to do their power washing for them. So, this is replacing plants is one thing. It causes enough of a mess as it is. But the sod with the machines and how they have to scarify the old material up is going to leave tire tracks all over the sidewalk and people's entry that doesn't get cleaned up. It gets broomed up, it gets blown. But if somebody were to power wash their home, they would have to do it all over again or pay somebody to do it all over again. So the sod process is very, very different when it's directly in front of the home versus when it's along the sidewalk, which has been done already, the easement. So can the people on Resolute be notified of the, I guess, approximate date, because the dates always seem to drift, but can they be notified so that they don't become upset that there was no notification and they undertook an expense they otherwise wouldn't have done?
Yeah, we could provide a window of installation time, not a one-day process, but you're right.
No, I know. It's probably going to be all week, and then the irrigation has to be reset, and then there's going to be that mud that gets generated because things are not properly set, or there's water that because the irrigation has to happen. That adjustment has to happen after the sod gets installed, which creates more of a mess. So if you can give people the week of, if it's going to be next week, I think it's just a courtesy gesture to communicate with our homeowners that, something as significant as that is going to be undertaken. That's going to affect the condition of their property.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Chris, you're right. It's a courtesy and it's common sense.
Be this week. This week. Yeah. But we can push it off, if that's a preference. You want to push off the work?
I'm not changing it. Curious. Gotta start.
I mean, if you're concerned with blowback from the community, you could push the work on.
Or we could send out the communication ASAP.
That could be done.
It's on. Yeah, but it's available.
Purchase was made a long time ago. We're just waiting for available, better product. We've been waiting for months on that. So it becomes an issue if we lose this fairness, so then we get back in line. Okay, you don't want it. Wait.
We didn't see them. It hasn't been delivered. Have you seen it up there?
No, you can see prep first, like Chris mentioned. Yeah, prep first.
So that hasn't started either. So we could say it's going to start this week.
Yeah.
We could send that out.
You want to stay for this week, this delivery?
Yeah, well, I don't think.
Chris?
Yeah, but I think if you send it this week, that it's going to start and it's going to cover a period of 2 weeks before it's completed. It gives you enough of a window, Alex, to complete as they're moving down. And based on what I've seen, 2 weeks for the scale we're talking about is probably sufficient in terms of time. And if it goes over a day or two, most people will notice it, but at least it lets people know that it's happening.
Good, we could do that. Very good. Any other input, landscaping in general? No comments, questions? Chris? A lot of our plant material, either has recovered or we've gone ahead in this next round of recovery. So you're gonna have rows of hedges being replaced. I think we've been patient enough and ones have been very patient with us. And again, it's in the interest of budget where we're trying to wait and not replace everything in one blanket. We are in the process of replacing a little bit more that hasn't quite come back yet. So that's what we're gonna.
And again, you start doing the dates. So we had people who had dead or missing, and they were put on a list. Then we got the freeze. Now we have other issues. So what does that do to the people who were supposed to get, who have been living with the dead stuff or the missing stuff? Now we have, where are they in line compared to the people who lost everything in the frost?
Well, what is the term lost? Was it lost or was it still coming back?
And it has been determined it's not coming back,
They're being replaced in this round.
along with the people who were going to get the missing stuff as
Of
well.
course, yeah, nobody loses their spot. Yeah, their first round, they get it, and then second round, the next one's in line. Any question? Landscaping?
Just out of curiosity, with Resolute about to be done, what, and I'm assuming this is
Correct.
what's left? Is there any left?
They were gonna have going down Castile and then Drivers.
Action.
So we're hoping with this round, because those front yards are actually pretty small, so we're gonna make most of Resolute. And then we'll wrap around in Castile as well, and then the next project will be Drivers.
What about around the Muse?
Well, part of it is parks, so we have to make sure we're clear about that. Parks does have some projects in the works. But let's be clear, separation between parks and.
5 feet attached to the house.
Usually that's
It's going to
planned.
be done on all the Muse. So it's not just with those facing Resolute, those along Castile, I understand. Now you've got to go up and down.
That'll be for next year, not this round. Where it does have that, a lot of it's plant material, though. Very small section of sod.
Do we have, Alex, do we have any schedule on what's going on with the Muse? And the, I mean, we've been looking at those conditions in the Muse and the deficiencies related to that for now a year, right? And nothing really has transpired, and it's not Exquisite's issue, but it is, you know, your organization's issue to work on getting those areas restored or in some kind of condition. Some there's a couple of Muse that are particularly horrific. And
We can
do we have
coordinate
any,
with,
do we have any
we
sense of when those areas are going to be at some point? I mean, some people have been living with some of those conditions for years now, and there just doesn't seem to be any plan. And I know yeah, I mean, there's things in common here. The landscaper is common, you're common, and there may be different ownerships between what's, you know, whether it's CDD or parks or whomever, but at the end of the day, your organization is responsible for coordinating the activity that supports a standard that most people, it were their own condition to maintain, would have been cited already multiple times. And now this is, it's we've been talking about it for a year as a committee. It probably precedes that, but the condition certainly has been going on for more than this committee has been effective in the last year. What is the plan? I mean, I don't live on the Muse, and thank goodness I don't, but what is the plan for the Muse?
I can step in on that. So the Crow Board reviews all of their park landscaping projects. They did a 2026 discussion in December. It was retouched in February, and then that also came up in May. So there's a list of park estimates that they're currently looking at across all of the 90 plus parks, to the tune of about $100,000. As there are, when GoGov requests are sent in, there are additional projects that are added to that list. And based on community feedback, the timeline for reserve landscape projects and the estimate list that's received that goes through phases does get discussed based on, or does get discussed and reevaluated based on submitted GoGovs or emails to Town Hall.
So you're saying that somebody
That the Crow,
somebody could somebody could have a condition rectified were they to submit a GoGov. Well, it might not be immediate, but they'd be put on a list. So do homeowners know that that is the process that they should undertake if they're,
It's been shared in almost every Monday Matters for the past couple months. Yes.
if your landscaping is deficient, you need to submit a GoGov?
Yep. That's a very fair short synopsis.
Okay, so we're the only, I think of the 14 service areas, we're in a very unique situation, and we're the only committee or community that has this differentiation of ownership between, that borders their homes. The townhomes have something similar, but not quite the same. Would it be possible then, hoping that somebody pays attention to celebration or to, Monday Matters, could a targeted notice go out to the homeowners in Spring Lake Gardens so that there is affirmative communication on what the direction for the property condition rectification could be? I mean, it's fair to say that, yeah, we put it in Monday Matters. Okay, that's good. But a lot of people don't read it. They might read, and, I think just proactively, Jacob, in trying to reach people about helping them with what might be a concern that they're festering, over, and just don't know where to go. Why not just send an email to the people who live in Spring Lake Gardens about what the process should be?
Anytime
I-
anyone reaches out to town hall via calling, coming to the front desk, or emailing with any questions or concerns, we address them. And we share the process with them.
Okay, so you're saying a blast email to Spring Lake Gardens homeowners is not feasible?
I'm saying it's feasible, but we send like this out as it's like I said, it's been weekly in the Monday Matters, which is a communication that does go to your full service area.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, maybe we'll just have to spread it word of mouth and make sure people go and look at, read their mail, but I'm just trying to figure out a way. I don't know how people live with that situation, and I guess they're just hoping and praying that something eventually is going to be done with it. But I just, some of the conditions, I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to take the walks you guys have done on site reviews, but that situation that we've reviewed countless times on every walk at the Mew at the north end of where we have the Blue Days was installed in lieu of something. It failed. It's still failing and failed, and it hasn't been replaced, and it's still the same condition. And now we're going to, having already paid Exquisite for installing Blue Days, where now he recognizes that it was not the right solution and we're not going to be planting any more Blue Days. So we're now going to pay the professional who made the recommendation to put Blue Days in the first place to replace the material with something else that may or may not work with any degree of certainty in the conditions and exposures that exist there. So, it just seems to be a cycle that just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And
So
I don't want to mean to be contentious or overly critical, but I'm just trying to figure out how we get to a path for a solution for these homes, because it reflects on the rest of the community.
Yeah. So actually, the case you brought up is a perfect example. So in the 2026 park improvements project discussion, the Live Oak Muse was not on there, but due to homeowner feedback, it was added. And when was that added? In March, and it was approved by the board recently as well. So that is getting done for, as a Crowa Park Muse improvement.
Okay. So do we have an estimate of time? And again, will the homeowners be advised in an email that is going to transpire in July or August, or something that tells them, or, so that, they just don't wake up one day and find that it's changed, so that they know that if they made a request, that their request is going to be actioned?
We typically, anytime there's large projects, and especially if it's home facing, do try to put those in project notices in Monday Matters. And I can make a note that I think the sod's becoming available for that project, that we do the same.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Any other input on landscaping? So I mean, summary from this is we want a little more communication, regular communication, e-blast wise, not to the committee, it's more specifically. That's the objective here.
And dates.
And dates and timeframes and updates on those.
And I guess I'll go ahead and ask, even though I don't there, but so one view down from me is Crimson View, which, had rules which are replaced. And then some not, and then particularly over the last few weeks, whole sections that are just kind of not noticed, but, and I suspect that most of that is probably a part that's outside of the, homeowner's boundary, but so, kind of the same question, is there a plan for Crimson Views?
What we could do potentially is coordinate with parks, and if we do receive any information and any communication service area sends out, maybe we could include some parks in as well.
That would be great.
So anything we do come across, if it is set, we can pass that on.
It would definitely be appreciated. I know they would appreciate it.
That's all for landscaping. Any other questions, input, comments at all? Anything else?
I got a couple.
Hi, Joe.
This is for Jacob. Jacob, over a year ago, I communicated with you after one of these meetings and talked to you about a suggestion on the parking situation in Spring Lake. You said, oh, that's a great idea, we'll follow it through, whatever. Well, I then received a telephone call from Rose, who asked me to go and take pictures of the parking situation in Spring Lake and submit them to her, you guys. I had talked with her about what was happening, what was the process. She said that Lauren needed the pictures and she was going to deal with the county because it was a county issue on labeling no parking or painting a curb yellow and putting no parking, etc. And I haven't heard a thing. And to be specific, I submitted the pictures to you guys on June 27, 2025. Today's June 8, 2026. Nothing.
So what you're referencing would be something that we would submit through the Citizens Actions request to Osceola County. If we can try to pull up to see if those requests were submitted. But typically what we found as well is that when we reach out to the county, we have the best luck submitting through the Citizen Action request, which is the same system that we use for GoGov, but it's the county level. So that's available on their website. If it's something you'd like to resend, I can send it as well. It's also something that anyone in that room, we recommend, the louder the voice, the more things can get done. And we've actually, the board has received, I know, another request about parking issues in Spring Lake. And the board responded with a similar messaging of reach out to the county with the Citizen Actions request. We'll happily do those for you. You can send it as a GoGov. You can send it as an email to Delise and Alex as well. And we can submit a Citizens Actions request about parking issues on the county roads inside Spring Lake. I'll try to find that email if it's something that you have the specific date of it and you know it and you want to send it over to me. We can submit another Citizens Actions request. Sometimes they act on them, sometimes they close them out, as that's to the jurisdiction of the county.
I submitted everything to you guys. I'm not doing it over again.
Okay.
Saying I did it. I mean, you folks should have gone out and take the pictures, not me. But I was happy to do it. Nothing happened. Because the bottom line is, I feel like we're the stepchildren of Celebration. There's no consistency. There was something in one of your Monday Matters, Friday Flash recently about hydrants. to be cautious and not park in front of a hydrant, and all hydrants in Spring Lake have a yellow curb painted in front of them with no parking. Guess what? There are none in Spring Lake that have that. And lo and behold, as I drive here today, I get to the corner, there's a hydrant, yellow curb, no parking. I turn the corner, there's a hydrant, yellow curb, no parking. Spring Lake, zippo, nothing. I talked about the size of the streets, the area, fire apparatus having problems, and one thing, I don't even know how Spring Lake got approved, that the width of the streets are not consistent. And the biggest situation with that is you only have two means of egress, Ponce and Kiowa. Ponce is much wider than Kiowa. I mean, what's up with that? You would think a street is a street and there's a set number of feet that a street requires. But we don't have that issue.
Answer your question on painting sidewalk. Go to all the CCD meetings. It's on your agenda. It wants to being consistent with painting of curbs. I had the county come visit and sit in a CCD meeting 2 months ago when I was there. They said it's not required. And curbs be painted are required. It is, there's a parking rule about how far you can park. Some are painted, some are not. But the county does not require it to be painted. That was the answer that we got.
Equivalent.
I mean, that's interesting that it's not required.
They will, the sheriff will ticket it. Because they thought,
Who does the painting? That in the
The
rest
county.
of, so the rest of it's not required, but the rest of Celebration, not the painting, we did not.
the county owns the curb. Thing CCD owns is the easements. You gotta go back to the. That's what the county does.
You know, Gary, that's the stock answer that you get here in Celebration is this passing of the buck. For example, it's in Monday Matters again. You can tell I do read them. No trailers are allowed to be parked on the streets of Spring Lake in Celebration, but this was a Spring Lake issue. Okay. I called on one trailer. A sheriff came out. The guy was phenomenal. He said, this guy doesn't belong here. He says he knows better and call me in 2 days. If he's still here, I'll tow it away. Well, he put something on it. He came to me for tape. He put something on the trailer. The thing did move. Next time, because the guy's playing a game. He keeps roaming from block to block. I call, I get a sheriff that comes and what a beaut this guy was. And I'm telling him that doesn't belong here. Oh, what do you want me to do? Go talk to him? I says, yeah. He says, so he's going to tell me to F off? I said, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. He says, what if I tow it? He says, they're going to say I stole it. He says, go to your homeowners association.
Yeah.
It's their problem, not ours. I said, hey, all you guys do is pass the buck. Homeowners says you got to call you. You say you got to call homeowners. I called the homeowners association first on this particular case. And the woman told me, she was very nice. She told me, I'm going to take care of it. He doesn't belong on the street. I said, good. 2 weeks later, the guy's still there, nothing happened. I called up again. She tells me, why don't you just do it yourself? In a pissy attitude. I said, okay, I did it myself and I was able to get the thing moved. Either communicate with the sheriff's office, give us the ordinance or whatever. I'll be happy to stick it in a sheriff's hand. But I mean, consistency is non-existent. Like you're saying, the county's gonna, decide who gets what. Well, Spring Lake gets zip, nothing.
And apparently, we've been doing the same thing because they tend to park the trailers along the lake.
What, yeah,
So all the homes that have this beautiful view has a beautiful view of abandoned trailers with commercial painting on the side. And we have also called the county and sometimes they're receptive, sometimes they're not. And we constantly see in Monday Matters that you're not supposed to do that. And if it was a homeowner, we get cited, but it's not, we don't know who it is. So anyhow, it seems to be falling on a resident. And I don't think residents signed up to monitor something like that. We had one situation where the person was very abusive to us when we approached them. So we're hesitant to do that. So I think as the management company, if it's a rule, then, like it's kind of under your jurisdiction. Throwing it back on individual residents is problematic.
I took a last shot bringing it up today because the last time he was parked out there, I said, to be honest with you, I just looked and I said, to hell with it. I'm tired of calling. I'm tired of being the guy that's doing it. People, there's a house right there. It's right in front. Let them call. Let them do whatever. Let them get the sheriff who wants to use 4-letter words in his conversation, etc. I don't need that baloney. I don't bother anybody and I don't want anybody bothering me. And like you say, you pay top dollar to get the view. And it's not too pleasant looking at a trailer. And this guy, this clown that keeps moving it around, he's got a hell of a nerve. He's got Kentucky plates on his trailer that have expired. Yeah.
So parking is an issue in Spring Lake, various reasons, most of which is safety. Because we have all these things blocking very narrow streets that are parked, can't be moved. Should
Right.
emergency vehicles try to get through, we've got trailers that can't even, they're not attached to anything. And that's what we sit with, so.
Yeah, pictures of, fire trucks having to back down. Because
Cap
they
rock.
can't make, Cap Rock, because they can't make it.
So it is a safety issue.
It sure is. Another one is an ambulance that couldn't get by, and people in it, the EMTs had to get out of the ambulance and go running over 2 streets over to attend to the patient.
Joe, I'll reach out to you offline and I'll particular locations that you have in mind. I can see what,
We have photos also of Kentucky.
yeah, I'll jump in and coordinate with you.
It's just a consistency. Don't preach to me in a email blast one thing, and then when you do it, it's totally opposite, or you just ignore it. And you know, okay, I'm talking about, like I said, East Village. I had a house in East Village. I'm very familiar with East Village. That was probably the biggest mistake I ever made in my life, was leaving East Village. But it's interesting, you can go to East Village, Falling Leaf. Take a ride by there. From the corner of Nash to the alley behind the houses on both sides of the street. It's painted yellow and says no parking. And guess what? Falling Leaf is wider than our streets. And they don't allow parking so that there's a problem. And the next street, I forgot what the next one is, over. Same situation. Us on Cap Rock, I live on Cap Rock. The rocket scientists that live up the street park in front of the hydrant. They don't park like a few feet away. They're in front of the hydrant. And they park from there up to Resolute. And there's no parking on that side of the street if you look at the cutout. They park at the line where the stop sign is, where you should stop at the stop sign. They're parked there. You come around the corner, you can just about fit one car, never mind a fire apparatus or an ambulance. So I don't want to end up dead because I got a jerk living up the street. And I've got a town that's not going to follow through and be consistent with what happens in all of the villages. That's all I'm saying. I'm not asking for anything special, Spring Lake. Do what you've done for everybody else. I'll end because I could probably go on for the next hour or so, but I don't want to bore you to death.
Alex, yeah, I don't want to continue on this topic necessarily, but just for your advice. So there is a car that's parked on Resolute now for probably 3 years, hasn't moved. The tires are, largely deflated. The car is basically green from the mildew that's accumulated on it. The registration sticker seems to magically get updated. Is it possible that we could reach Osceola County to find out at least if the owner of the car is a Spring Lake Gardens or even Celebration resident? If it has a valid registration, we probably can't tow it. But can we find out if it's even a homeowner who lives in the community and see what resolution we can achieve from there?
I think we run into these issues of jurisdiction, county versus HOA. I
Right.
doubt we'll be able to get information on ownership of a car. But let me inquire,
we
see if
have
there's any angle.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have something of a relationship with the sheriff, right? I mean, I would imagine they would just, I would hope from a public safety perspective, that they might help us with just the inquiry of confirming that they are a resident or not, or is somebody, in the apartments across the street using it as a storage space because they don't have a garage. But there was a home, we were walking and a homeowner came out and said, "Hey, can you do something about that car? It's been sitting there for 3 years." And so I think it just, as a matter of effort, would be helpful to see if we could make a determination if the person is even a Spring Lake Gardens resident, that, the county can then recommend action we might be able to take from there.
You can always make the attempt.
I agree with everything you just said, Chris, but let me give you another scenario on my experience.
Well, I think we're coming up on time, Joe. So not to interrupt, but I see the clock is counting down past our time. But
That's too bad.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but is there other stuff on the agenda we need to cover, Alex, before we adjourn?
No, there's nothing else on the agenda.
Okay.
If you're that concerned, you should be here.
Yeah, well, I am very concerned. I live there.
Oh, about this.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm done.
Okay, any other further input, comments, questions? This is adjourned meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Do you have a second? Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for attending. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.